You know what I mean? I can't change the past. I can't change what happened. I can't change the no's or things that didn't work out, but I can't believe that the past is going to determine my present or my future.
Mm-hmm.
My power doesn't exist in the past to change something. My power exists in the present to overcome it.
Welcome to Diversity Dish, where we're dishing on everything diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice related. My name is Sedruola Maruska, and we're bridging the gap between what needs to be said and what needs to be heard. Those individual experiences that are often ignored or simply dismissed. Sometimes I'm dining alone, sometimes I'm dining with friends, and sometimes I'm dining a la carte. No matter how I'm dining, it promises to be delicious. Let's dig in. Multi-hyphenate Erin Wiley Sands is an author, speaker, actress, writer, and producer. She is the author of The Dunes, an inspirational faith-based book for personal growth, as well as the creator of the Dunes online companion course, Live More, Carry Less, where Erin uses her signature IRO method to help readers identify what's holding them back, recognize the root cause, and overcome it. Erin is also the writer-producer of the award-winning faith-based docudrama STEM, which features true life stories of faith in the midst of adversity and victory against all odds. STEM uses comedy and drama to tackle issues rarely given a voice, such as domestic violence, body shame, infertility, caring for a parent with Alzheimer's, the pain of divorce, and aging. Erin considers herself a storyteller. She uses her gifts to tell stories that offer awareness, healing, and entertainment. Welcome back to Diversity Dish. I'm so happy you decided to join us again. My guest today is Erin Wiley Sands. Hey, Erin, how are you?
I'm great, and I'm so excited and happy to be here, Sadie. Thank you for having me.
It is such a pleasure to have you here. I cannot wait to get into our conversation because I know it's going to be a good meal for everyone to partake in. But before we get into all of that, can you tell us what is it that you are most passionate about right now?
Right now, the thing that kind of gets me up in the morning, gets my juices flowing, is the online course I've created called Live More, Carry Less. And that is my passion right now because it's about women. And I feel like that in this season of my life, with the lessons that I learned, that I am it just makes me passionate and brings me joy to help women. And my course is about helping women release the fears and sort of the limited thinking that had been holding them back, and sort of stepping into that gifted, loving, formidable, fully capable Wonder Woman that I believe has existed in all of us. And because I've had a season or several seasons where I forgot my own self-worth and value, and had to learn those lessons to rediscover who I am and to walk in confidence and peace. That when you learn those things and you find out who you are, and you see that other women are struggling with the same fears about questioning their own value, you want to teach the lessons you've learned, to share the things that have helped you get over that hurdle, and to embrace yourself fully and be present and here for the glorious moment of your life. And so that really gives me joy, because there's a lot of women right now struggling with certain fears. And I just love liberating people because it felt so good when I got liberated.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I can totally relate to what you're saying
Mhm.
because I too have gone through several, iterations of myself, if we
Right,
could say it that way.
right.
And what every time, like at this point in time right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to help everyone discover that amazing human that they are, that amazing light that they have within. I want them to find it before they get diagnosed with cancer like I did, and then they have to question,
Hmm.
what they're doing, their life path, and without having to go through the trauma. But sometimes I think maybe a little bit of that is what pushes us to grow,
It
right? A
is.
little bit of that
It
makes it.
pain that leads us, or sometimes the trauma, or you know what I mean, that makes us stop. Sometimes God has to shake you up,
Yeah.
you reset and cause you to look at the things and maybe the choices you've made, or the people you're surrounding yourself with, or the ways that you denied yourself. I have a friend going through a divorce, and I've been through a divorce, and that's a time where you really reset, because your heart is broken. It's a time where you're kind of starting over, and you look at maybe the mistakes you've made, or ways that you've allowed people not to value you, and the
Mm-hmm.
situations that you have to take ownership of some of the things that you put yourself in, and ask yourself the hard questions. Why did
Mm-hmm.
I let this happen, or why did I let this person treat me like this? And then when you figure that out, you know what I mean, when you identify, I use what I use in my course called my IRO method, which means to identify the thing that's been holding you back, recognize the root cause, because until you pull something out by the root, it will continue to grow, and then just step out on faith and overcome it. And so I've had to kind of use that method on my own heart many times. Like I said, when I went through my divorce, I had to understand and identify why I had put myself in a situation. And we do things because we love, of course, we all love. But
Yeah.
sometimes we, you know, put up with bad behavior for a certain
Mm-hmm.
reason. And it's because maybe deep down we don't know or believe that we deserve better,
Yeah.
and deserve to be treated with the love and respect that that we give. And so I had to look at myself and figure out what was going on with Erin, and figure out what the root cause of that was. You know what I mean? Why I
Yeah.
had allowed certain things and people to come into my life. And then when I figured that out, I had to kind of pull it out, right? Do that
Right.
work and make a change, so I can walk out in faith and achieve and have the kind of relationships, or manifest and bring those things into my life that I felt like were a truth of who I am and what I give or what I bring to the table. Because I
Right.
think many times we as women, we forget what we bring to the table. We underestimate ourselves. So,
But I
and
think
Black women, I just want to.
yes, especially yes. Yeah, but I think that sometimes that's a product of how we've been socialized,
Absolutely.
right? We've been socialized to believe that we are not enough,
Right.
that in order to become or be enough, we have to have children. In
Mm-hmm.
order to become or be enough, we have to find ourselves a man.
Right.
Okay. And that's and that being very heteronormative,
Right.
because what if that's not what we want?
Exactly.
That's not what we're attracted to. That's not how we're feeling. But
Yes.
if all those things don't fall into that nice, neat little package, that nice little box, then we feel that there is something wrong with us,
Mm-hmm.
something wrong with the way that we do things, something wrong with the way that we show up in the world. And it's so sad because then it quashes or it squelches that light that we need to be shining into this world,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because we are already enough the without all the social structures that are put upon us.
Yes, I agree. I remember I'm an actor, and I'm over 40. So I had a lot of success in the 90s when I first got into the game. And then things kind of slowed down for me, and I began pursuing other things, writing. I wrote a book, and just other things. And then I decided, you know what? I feel like I still have something to offer. I want to get back into the game. And someone very close to me, because sometimes it's the people closest to us, because we've all been indoctrinated with
Yes.
lessons about the limitations of what you can and cannot do as an African American, as a woman, all of these things. So I told someone very close to me, I said, I feel like God has put on my heart, I still have something to share, something to give in this industry, and I want to do it. And they said, well, Erin, you're a woman, you're Black, and you're over 40, so things are probably not going to work out for you.
Hmm.
And they said that to me with like a straight face. And
Mm.
I remember thinking, when they said that, I was just kind of looking at them, and I thought, and they meant well, right? They meant
Sure.
well, because they're telling me statistically, these are
Mm.
the statistics, these are the facts, girl. It's probably
Mm.
not going to happen because
Mm-hmm.
you're Black, you're a woman, you this age bracket. It's not going to happen for you. But
Mm.
I remember thinking that we Black people, we've never been deterred by the facts or we wouldn't have overcome so many things. Okay, the facts of the situation, there's racism, there's this, but we always believed in the truth of who we are, the truth of who God created us to be. And so I knew that that person was telling me the facts of my situation, the statistical facts, but I was either going to listen to that or believe the truth of my inherent value, the truth of the gifts God has given me. So if I still have a gift for this thing, then there must still be room for it in the world. And I have to believe that about myself. And I have to believe that I can do that and overcome at any age bracket that I am. So I just wrapped on, a movie that my first horror movie that I did last week called Night Games. And so if I had listened to that person at that time who was delicately and gently trying to tell me the facts of my life, that I wouldn't have, taken that leap of faith and said, you know what? Screw that. I think that I still have something to offer here. I still have something to give. And I just think that, like you say, society is going to tell you one thing. I'm over 40s and I didn't have a kid. I wanted to have children. That didn't turn out for me. And so for a moment, I had time where I questioned my value as a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because we're told that after I got married, then I was supposed to have kids. And after, before I got married was, when are you going to get married? So then I got married.
Yes.
When are you going to have kids? And it's the thing. But that wasn't for me. It didn't happen. I wanted it to. It didn't happen. But I still had value. I still have something to share and give. And I can't let these false expectations of me diminish the truth of who I am. Because if I do, then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That road.
Exactly.
Nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Exactly. That's absolutely 100%. And I'm here to tell you that it's not too late. You over 40, it's not too late.
It isn't. But if
that's what you want.
If I never decided to do it, then that's okay too. If I never wanted to get married, because I have a girlfriend who's 50 something and she's never been married, and you get to a place in your life where you get comfortable and you find your own value outside of society's, false standard.
Yes.
Because if you're always living up to it, there's always something that they're going to tell you. They're going to keep saying, it's like the carrot you're following.
Okay, right, because it's never good enough.
Exactly. The never good enough carrot. Oh, you have to be this weight. You're not this weight in this size, but your hair has to look like this. But you know what I mean? And it goes on and on and on, teaching us not to love ourselves. And so I've just chosen to love myself and all my imperfections and all my stuff and believe that I'm enough. Yeah. That was a journey. That was a journey to get there.
Yes. And it is a journey. It's always going to be a journey because, and it's a constant learning situation, because you're constantly going to evolve, you're going to grow, and you're going to have to decide, do I still like myself? Why not? Why? And yes, I do. And this is what I like. It's a constant, growth journey for sure.
Yes.
But absolutely, I totally understand that. I remember having to talk to myself like out loud, literally, after all my girlfriends had gotten married, and telling myself, deprogramming and saying, there's nothing wrong with me that I'm not married. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm living my life is good. My things are okay. When that person comes along, if they come along, I'm going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Right. And so, I got married at 34. And so it's like, okay. And then when I got married, I was like, well, I'm not going to rush. If I'm meant to have kids, I will have kids.
Right.
When they come, when they come. So I have my son 30, almost 38, 2 weeks from my 38th birthday. And I have my daughter at 42. These were not things that were planned or anything. It was, if it's meant to happen, and I leave myself open to the possibility that yes or no, we go one way, we go another, whatever happens, that's what needed to happen. It was just like, we have to give ourselves permission to live the lives that we are meant to live. Right?
Yes.
That we're here for. And if we always, statistically speaking, how you said that your friend was, and I understand that they were being kind and they were trying to protect you.
Right.
they were using their protective mechanism for you, which is
Right.
what we
Hmm.
tend to do.
Hmm.
But if we think about it, the statistics happen because of actions that have taken place prior to that,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So people in some way, shape, or form decided that if you're 40, over 40, or if you're black or black woman, or if you're this, then you're you're not good enough. You're
Right.
not
Right.
what's needed. And so then the statistics show this, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But if you yourself decide, you know what, I'm going to challenge that.
Right.
And if someone who's meant to cast you decides, I'm going to challenge that, that's not necessary, that's when the statistics begin to change, right? They begin to
Exactly.
alter. Hi, my name is Sedruola Maruska, and I'm a leadership coach. I give business leaders the confidence and tools to have conversations about equity and inclusion to improve culture, increase productivity, and decrease attrition. All this I do through my Leader Builder coaching program. If you'd like to know more, please go to diversitydish.com.
Because it always takes somebody to step out and be that first person to make history. It took an Oprah to say, you know what, no black woman has never done this at this size or this, whatever, or my background. But guess what, I believe that I can do it and I have what it takes. And of course you're going to come up against challenges and obstacles because society is going to come at you with the you're not supposed to, you're not enough, people aren't going to like this kind of movie, people aren't going to like this kind of show, no one's going to watch you. But if you believe in yourself and know that in your heart that you've been called to a certain thing, which I feel like I said with my course, Live More, Carry Less, I feel like I've been called to it, called to empower women, called to remind them of their value, called to tell them you can do the hard work, the soul work, and heal what's been hurt by society or past life experience and go on to do great things. Like I said, Oprah, I mean, there's so many women in history, especially in our lineage as Black
Oh,
women,
yeah.
coming. I mean, what Stacey Abrams is doing. They said it couldn't be done. How long
Mm.
would Georgia read? And she said, but I don't think so. And she went out and did the work. You had to be willing to do the work. But
That,
she
and yes,
did the work and changed a red state blue. And nobody thought that that could be done before somebody does it. We always
that's
say, well,
exactly
it
right.
happened. And somebody, I'm sure, told her facts and statistics too. Oh, girl, you can't do that. You know, they'll never vote this way. They'll never see it that way. But she knew that there were enough of us on the ground and if people believed that she could do a grassroots efforts and turn that around. So I just believe that we have to make the decision that we're going to be the change maker in our own lives. You know what I mean? That you're not going to decide for me what I
Mm-hmm.
can do. You're not going
Mm-hmm.
to finish my story for me. I'm going to finish my story in faith. And like you said, and just be open to what God has. Like you thought you were going to have kids. You didn't know, but then you had a kid at, 42. And like you said, there's still time for me and it may be through adoption or whatever, but I'm open. I'm not closing the door saying it's too late, it can never happen. I'm open. I'm open to what God has for me and what life has for me because I'm not going to believe or accept anybody's limitations for my life.
That's right. Or
Yeah.
put or accept anybody's trajectory for your
Yeah.
life,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like, well, this is where you need to go, or this is what you need to be doing because you are whatever box I want to put you into. And that's where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ready and willing to decide that no, I decided this.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what this is going to
And
happen.
sometimes, because like I said, we both, like you said, you've had hard times. And sometimes that's hard where you're going through a season of disappointment, of
Mm-hmm.
hurt, of loss. You know what I mean? And especially with the season that we're all kind of coming out of, still in, of COVID. There were business ventures and things that I lost out on. There were times where I felt kind of discouraged and like, I don't, why am I even getting out of bed? I can't go nowhere. I mean,
Right.
times where that I would say the biggest obstacle sometimes have been for me have been thoughts that I've chosen to think about myself. You know what I mean? That thoughts where I've said, because it didn't work out in the past, maybe it won't work out in the future. So I don't want people to think that I was like, somebody said something to me and I was like, no, it's going to work out for me. I did that, but there were still moments of self-doubt. There were still moments of, are they right? I mean, it isn't, because as an actor, you get more rejection than you get, yes, there was all of those things. But for me, what I had to realize is that the past is what it is. You know what I mean? I can't change the past. I can't change what happened. I can't change the no's or things that didn't work out. But I can't believe that the past is going to determine my present or my future.
Mm-hmm.
My power doesn't exist in the past to change something. My power exists in the present to overcome it.
Yes.
To begin again, to start anew, and to believe and go forward in faith. And there will be challenges and there will be setbacks, but I have to decide that those things aren't permanent for me and that I still have the strength to overcome them. You know what I mean? So I don't want anyone to think that I don't have disappointments or struggle with self-doubt. I still do, but I make a choice every day to say affirmations. What I teach in my course is called mirror work. And people think it's easy, but it's not. To look yourself in the mirror in your own eyes and affirm yourself and affirm God's goodness in your life and affirm, your qualities and your talents and your gifts. Some days I say it in the mirror with tears because I'm doubting. And some days I say it in the mirror with strength and confidence. And you bad today, you about to get this. You're good. You're all right. It just depends on the kind of week I'm having, but I still say it. So I just want to encourage the women who are listening that some days you may say it with tears, some days you may say it with confidence, but say it. Continue to affirm who you are and what God has for you.
Yes, don't ever stay in that place where that place of doubt and pain. We all have to go through it. I mean, you could take the most together person that the person that you think has no issues, everything's going well for them, and there are things that are still hurtful to them, that the pains that they've gone through, things that they've had to overcome. Everyone, we are all human, so we are all living this human experience. Exactly. And this human experience comes with pain for growth or not. It just depends on what you decide to do through that pain or what have you. Yeah. So you're right. There's some days that I'm just there's some days that I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel like it.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Like, I don't feel like being an adult. I don't feel like working.
Right. I don't feel like dealing with none of it.
I just don't feel like it.
Right.
And if there's anything that going through cancer has taught me, it's that on those days, I have to give myself a lot of grace and just say, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. Just don't stay in that place. Don't wallow in that place. If you feel yourself just pushing really, really hard and it's not feeling right for you, step back, give yourself space and grace and say, what is it that's not feeling right? Where is it that I need to go? Maybe I should just need to be quiet and still and see what comes, or see how I feel later on. But we all have all those doubts.
It's funny that you say that, because that is one of there's 7 revelations that I call them revelations that I go over in my course. And it's fear, commitment, forgiveness, trust, grace is the 5th, surrender and gratitude. And when I teach on grace, it is about that. It's about giving yourself grace. It's about really accepting self-care. You know what I mean? As well as extending it to others. Yeah. But sometimes we don't give ourselves the grace to say, you know what, today you don't feel like it, and that's okay too. That's okay too. To be quiet today. You know what I mean? To just focus on you today. Maybe and sometimes that's hard if you're a wife and a mother and working or a single, and you got so much going on to think, I don't have 5 minutes where these kids aren't, at me. But maybe when they go to sleep, go in the bathroom, stay up a little late and take a bath. Whatever you can do to take some time to sow into you. Because when we're better and stronger and we take the time to say, it's okay, I don't need to be Superwoman, because I don't think she exists, and no woman can have everything at all times, but we can have good things in certain seasons. You know what I mean? And so I absolutely believe in taking rest, showing ourselves grace, and taking time to restore and
Mm-hmm.
rebuild and heal. You know what I mean? To do those things that we need to replenish ourselves so we actually have something to give. Because if you don't, I mean, what do you'll be depleted. And
Right.
society and family and life and responsibilities will push you every which way. And then, like you say, you can create things in your body that, you know what I mean, cause sickness and other things. But when you come through something like you've done, and that's just a miracle, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
And you need to take the time after you've been through that and know that some days you need to say, hey, I'm gonna take a break. I'm tired today. I'm gonna rest and I'm going to replenish myself because I'm worth it. I'm worth taking that time.
Yes. And I think as Black women, I mean, women have more on them to begin with, right? We've got a lot going on. But as
Absolutely.
Black women, we have more things put on us, in that there's so many mixed messages that we get. You know, you're supposed to be the strong Black woman, but oh my God, don't be the angry Black woman. You're
Right.
supposed to be um really good at what you do, but really, are you really good at what you do, or is it just affirmative action? I mean, there's so many things
Oh my
that
God.
we're thinking about a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
where we feel like we have to prove ourselves. And I think I was talking to someone else about how we're expected to know things and not ask questions. And if we ask questions, then we're seen as incompetent, whereas
Mm-hmm.
other people can ask questions and be seen as simply asking a
Mm-hmm.
question,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that, in and of itself, some people just wouldn't even fathom that that would be the case.
Yeah.
But
No idea
it's
what it is to be us. Mm-hmm.
right, you know? And so we have, and so again, there, I give myself grace. I'm like, you know what? You don't have all the answers. You don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to ask questions. And whatever they're thinking in their mind is none of your damn business. That's their business, not yours. And you cannot live up to that,
Right, because
right?
we can't control other people's thoughts or their ignorance, because that's just is their limited thinking and their ignorance. I can't control that. I do exist in a society where, like you say, that is because if I'm strong or if I say something firmly, I'm perceived as angry if I'm a Black woman, or if I walk into a store with a different certain hairstyle, then I'm perceived as a threat or suspicion. We go
Right.
through stuff, but I can't live my life. I mean, I have to deal with it, but I can't live my life so much that I'm always thinking about what you think too. So now I'm responsible for not only my own thoughts, I'm responsible for yours too, and making you feel comfortable with my very presence. No,
Right.
I'm not doing that. I mean, you know what I mean? We do that, but I'm not doing that anymore. I had to make a decision that if you were going to be afraid of me, then fine, you can be afraid of me, but I'm going to walk through this store and get what I need and go to the counter and check out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be
Exactly.
responsible for your ignorance or your fear. And I don't have to make you feel good about me 24/7. Now, we have learned as Black people, my mother told me this all the time growing up, you have to be better than them. You have to be,
Right.
because I was in gymnastics, I was in dance, you can't go in being just good enough. You have to be better to even be in the room. And so there was a standard of excellence. And actually, I appreciated that because it made me work harder. But we've all been taught that as Black, kids growing up, you have to be better because you can't be average or you won't even get in the room. You won't get that seat at the table. But as an adult now and a grown woman myself, I've decided that I've just made the decision that it's not my job to make you feel comfortable with my Blackness, with my presence, to explain myself. So you feel safe now. You know what I mean? I'm going to be who God created me to be. I'm going to be a bright light, and you're going to deal with that or you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's sad because we also live in a culture that many times, our lives are in danger because of somebody's fear, because of somebody's ignorance. But that isn't, we can't shrink, you know what I mean, and not live, because then we're not fully living. So we're always walking a tightrope as Black people, but especially as Black women, because Black women have been sort of the mules of this country where we've taken
Mm.
on the burden of everybody else, Black men, white women, white men, everything. And we've carried it on our backs, you know what I mean? And made everybody okay. But it's time for us to stop making sure everybody else is okay and make sure we're okay and be who we need to be for ourselves and not for other people. And I'm not saying that in a selfish way, to stop giving and stop being loving and all the things that we are, but I'm saying to not feel like we have to make other people comfortable. You know what I mean?
Not feel like we owe them anything.
Yes.
Like we don't owe anybody anything. We don't owe them, their comfort. That's on them. We don't owe them explanations for why we do things, because if I look back and if I'm honest, there are times when I've over explained myself.
We've all done it.
Right? Or where I've or where I felt like I needed to justify myself or how I look or what I'm doing or how I'm, and we don't owe that to anybody, because I don't see anybody coming to do that for us.
No one does that for us. We're just expected to be the gentle Encyclopedia Britannica where I explain and help you with Black culture and Black things because you're wondering I remember one time, it was right before COVID, and I had my hair in, I think, passion twists, and and I've noticed too, when I put my hair in a more Afrocentric style, then I get, and it's nothing against white people, but I get white people coming up to me wanting to touch my hair or do, what the hell is, so I'm sitting there at a restaurant and I'm eating, and this older white woman comes to me out of nowhere and she's like, I always figured it must be so hard being a Black woman with all you guys have to do with your hair. Well, and I remember, I can't make this up. So I'm sitting there eating my breakfast, like, really? So I'm in my mind like, really, Lord? So today I have to have this conversation?
Right.
How about I just want to eat my bacon and eggs? How about I don't want to, explain to you Black culture and Black hair today? But in all of your privilege, you thought that you should come over here and I should have this conversation with you. Okay, so here we go. And it inspired a blog I wrote called The Root Cause. And it was the journey of us Black women and our hair. So she actually, I used that situation and I did explain some to her, but I also didn't feel like I had to make her feel safe about it, make her understand complete Black culture, because there's this whole thing exists called Google. And you can go on it, Google braids, and find out about my history like I had to learn yours in school. And we can all be good. But I did appreciate her wanting to understand. So I explained some, but I didn't feel like I had to make her feel safe. I felt like I'm going to share with you what you want to know, some of what you want to know, or what I feel comfortable with sharing you in this moment. And I did, and she thanked me and went away, but I didn't feel like I had to over-explain or over-make her feel safe or even make her feel comfortable with her hair choices, or, you know what I'm saying? I told her, I love this. This is a part of my culture. And, I choose different styles at different times. That's it. Everything else you can learn.
And it's not a burden.
Yes, and it is not a burden. It's a joy. But in this country, you guys have made it a bit of a burden because the hairstyle dictate whether or not a kid gets to graduate from school, whether or not I get hired. There are a lot of things that comes with Black hair, but because of your fear and because of your ignorance. So I did take the time to teach her some, but I didn't feel obligated to make her feel good about it. You know what I mean? So there's a difference.
Yeah. There's a difference.
Yes.
and yeah, it's very interesting. I think, I think that it takes I think it takes grace to simply be a Black woman or a woman of color in this country, because the amount of stuff that we see, we experience, we go through as Black women or even women of color is, when I consider the alternate, like if it were an alternate universe.
I play with that in my mind all the time. You have those fantasies too? I always play with that in my mind. Like I thought I was the only one. But I always have.
I always think to myself, if this were right, If this were an alternate universe.
Women were all in leadership. And what if it was all just, yeah, I think.
Yes. Or, and if we would go to them and be like, and say some of the things that we hear or that we get told, said to us, or the things that happen, you wonder, would you be able to handle that with the grace that we do, in knowing? Because, we're going back to what you said before, is that we've been the mule, basically, for everyone in this country. So I'm Haitian American. So I was born here. I was born here. And so, but my ancestry is from Haiti. But when you consider, just as enslaved people, right, living and having to feed and having to be the cow for the babies, right, having to deliver the babies, then having to feed the families and having to take care of those kids, raise those children to still not have respect for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're that mule, that person, that person that survived through all of that and still was able to maintain a family, and who has always worked, right? Who has always worked side by side in the fields, right? Side by side, wherever you work, has always worked, has always been that. And so, of course, that they say, oh, the strong Black woman, because you've always, well, a lot of that was thrust upon.
Exactly. That was
thrust upon.
We didn't have a choice, because our men, you know what I mean? We had a society where it was easy. We were more accepted, so we could go out and make an income where our men couldn't. You know what I mean? So we began to carry, 2 loads. We became the head of the house. And I don't mind that. I believe that there are 2 heads of the house, but that's another time.
Right.
But there were things we had to take on, you know what I mean? That, like you said, we're raising other people's kids, we're raising our own. And so this is what I love about us as women, that we are resilient, that we are, not that we should have ever had to carry that, but that we carried it with grace and beauty and sophistication and elegance. You know what I mean? And look at us now. Look at us now. When I look at a Stacey Abrams, who I love, you know what I mean, who's so educated and wonderful and forthright in her love for community, and actually she saved this country. She and others never do it by herself. She and others, all of us who joined with her in that plight, saved this country from itself. But Black women have been doing that. We've been the conscious and the moral center for this country since its inception, since we were, kidnapped and brought here. So, and enslaved in this country, we've been the moral center. We've been the people who have kind of helped them get back and save them from themselves. And so we carried a heavy burden. That's why I said we've been the mules, not that we are, but we have carried a burden like the mules of this country. And so, speaking in grace, like you said, that's why we need to give ourselves a break and give ourselves the permission to do self-care. And then also recognize how great we are, and that we have been doing all of these things. And we've been doing them in a culture that says we're not beautiful, right? And yet you get other people to get our aesthetics, right? They get the lips and all the stuff, but they don't want us. They just want to look like us, but we're not enough. You know what I mean? We're constantly being told these ridiculous lies that are so hypocritical and apparent. And yet we've learned to thrive in spite of that, and love ourselves and love our hair and all of its different textures, and our skin and all of its different tones, and our lips and our hips and our, all of our things, all of our unique things that make us us. And so I love that. I'm very proud to be an African-American woman, because we're overcomers. You know what I mean? And I don't know anybody else in history who's done it like us, and still been great and gracious, like you said, gracious and loving and forgiving, and still wanting to help other people and thrive. So I love being an African.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'm very proud of that myself. I'm just, I'm really proud of, and I'm proud because I also have very strong matriarchs in my family, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that that's something that we tend to have, or we have matriarch figures,
Hmm.
around us in our communities, women who hold their heads up high and who pass on the strength that, or the quiet strength, or the loud strength, whatever the
Right.
strength
Exactly.
is,
There's
you
all
know,
kinds.
they pass that on, with fervor and, such, just, it's just so, when I look at my matriarchs, my mom's sisters, all my aunts and friends as well, I just go, it's just amazing to me. And if I could be half that, if I am half that, I am incredibly proud of that half that I am, right?
A docu-series, I believe it was on Netflix, and I hope I'm getting the name right. I think it was called In Search of Our Mother's Gardens.
Mm,
And it just profiled African American women and grandmothers and older women, just the generations and the things we've been through. Like it's basically a documentary about everything we've talked about, the things and the hurts and the hurdles, and yet the victories and the beauty and the things we pass on from generation to generation. It was beautiful. It was one of those things we were sitting, I watched it with my mom and my aunt, and we were sitting there crying, like, oh my God,
right.
it's so beautiful. But, it makes you proud, makes you angry, it makes you relate. You go through, just a bunch of emotions. But I believe it was on Netflix, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens. It was very good.
Yeah.
And it was everything that we're talking about now.
I love that. Isn't it incredible that when we watch something that is about us or for us, or um, that portrays us, how much deeper it hits than when we're watching stuff that's just been made, just has always been made the way it's
Mm-hmm.
been made.
Mm-hmm.
I find it to be so incredibly moving, because especially, when my daughter goes, oh mommy, her hair is just like mine, and she's
Yes.
watching, and I'm like, yes. And I said, yes, she's got some beautiful curls, and she says yes,
Yes.
and she loves her curls, and I'm
Yes.
like, I swear, when my daughter was born, I said to myself, I said, if this girl can just love her hair,
Mm.
I will have done, I will be good.
And that's why I wrote that blog, The Root Cause, because there's such a journey tied to our beauty and our hair. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's such a journey for Black women. I mean, we all have stories about hair and coming to our own with our hair. I remember when I was in fourth grade, and one of my best girlfriends was white, and I lived in Oakland, California, and she was touching my hair, and she was like, "Oh, it's so soft." At fourth grade, I didn't know, And what happened was I went to spend a night over her house, and so she went to take a shower, and then I went to take a shower, and she was like, "You're not going to wash your hair?" And I was like, no. She was like, what do you mean? Well, when do you wash your hair? And I was like, my mom washes it maybe every 2 weeks, once every. And that shocked her. She
Yeah.
could not believe that I didn't wash my hair every single night like her. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and I was shocked that she washed her hair every single night. I mean, it was like kind of like, what? And she was like, well, but how do you do it? I was like, when we wash my hair, it's a whole ordeal. What are you talking about? Like, you know, I come from the Midwest where grandma have you in the kitchen, you leaned over the kitchen sink, and she would wash our hair that way. And then she would sit us on the thing with a hot comb. I mean, there was a whole big production. And then the older I got, my mom was like, well, I don't want to put chemicals or anything in your hair. But it was still, black hair was just more than that. And then our hair texture, it's not good for us to, back then too, with all the sulfates and all the stuff that they were putting in the stuff, we can't put that on our hair all the time. It strips it of its natural
Right.
things that it needs to grow. And so she couldn't understand that. I was 9, so I didn't fully understand it. All I knew was that I can't wash my hair every night like you. That's just not what we do in my household. But as you grow and
Right.
and then when I became an actor and being on set, and of course they're not, because
They're not ready.
is everywhere. So you get on a set and you have the makeup artist and the hair person are white people. It's changing, thank God, and there are more of us in different places. So this is wonderful. But in the 90s, there weren't. And so I literally have a makeup or a hair person kind of touch my head like, what am I supposed to do with this? And
Mm.
my hair is straighter than most. And still they were like, what? I don't know how to, you know what I mean? I had people, like, I remember there was a scene and she wanted some different kind of look. So she sprayed water in my hair, not knowing that, okay, you sprayed, now I'm going to have an afro. And so, like, you know what I mean? She thought, oh, I'm going to spray water like a white woman. Maybe it'll go. No, that made my hair go. And now, you know, I have this fro for you, but you didn't know that going in. So she was like, oh, I didn't know this would happen. Well, I could have told you. So that was all, but there was still a feeling of you wanted things to look like they needed it to look so you could be acceptable in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to come of age and like I said, love myself, love my hair, love the unique things that it did. But that's still a journey. And they don't know that journey because they don't go through that journey because everything's set up for them.
For
Even
them.
the human brush we use was set up for their hair, not
Yep.
ours. You know what I mean? And that's why we began doing all of those things and putting all of those chemicals and were harmful to our hair to accommodate what we were given in their culture. Now, you know, we're all used to the comb and brush. We use it now and it's fine, but they don't understand that journey. The things that we've gone through as Black women simply to love what God gave us naturally. God gave me this hair. Why wouldn't I love it? But you've taught me to hate it. And so now I have to reteach myself to love it. You know what I mean? And we do that. And we have to do that with almost every part of ourselves. And lucky you are a wonderful mother. And I had a wonderful mother who bought me black dolls and, you know what I mean, made sure that I knew that what God created me and gave me was beautiful. And even though I was learning that in the house and not seeing it in the world, so I had to, you know, find the balance. And as I got older, because she gave me that foundation, learn those lessons and love myself. And now, like I said, I teach other people. So
yes. That's exactly right. It's true. It's the journey. The journey is so different and it's unfathomable for white women in so many ways, how we have to constantly remind ourselves that we are enough and that we do love the way that we look. And we do love, we love our, you know, when I was younger, I was skinny. I was 95 pounds. And even with all of the outside messaging, I did not like that because I wanted to be like my mom and my aunts and, you know, curvy and bigger and, you know, and so that for me was more. So even though I had the skinny body, like I was like 95 pounds, that skinny body that was supposed to be acceptable, thankfully to me, that wasn't necessarily what I needed to be. I was just like, well, this is where I am, this is who I am, but I'm not just trying to be here. And, you know, literally I went into the gym and I was like, I need to do something. And so I built some muscle and gained some weight and ultimately gained those curves that I so much wanted because I knew that that was more appealing and more interesting within my culture, within, you know, my surrounds. But it's, you know, I mean, there are so many things, you know, I'm working on this a program myself that is geared to helping people use their passions and purpose within social justice. And the reason I choose that is because people think that they have to go out and they have to march or they have to do, you know, they have to do something that has nothing to do with who they are, what they think, what they feel, or anything to affect change within, you know, social justice or within this world. When the reality is, if you look at every slice of life, every aspect of life within this country, there is room for improvement and social justice. So whatever it is that is your passion or that you are really good at, whatever is your strength, whatever your strength is, that can be used to make a difference within, you know, social justice.
I'm going to speak. I'm sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I want to speak to both things you said because you made two really great points. The first one about, body size and body shame and different things. I think that one absolutely indicative of things that we go through as Black women, but I think that one, is blanketed for all women because you have women who have a certain thing that society might say is good, but they secretly don't like it. You know what I mean? They have like, even me, I'm like top heavy. And I've learned to, like I said, love and appreciate all of me, but I'd rather be smaller.
Right.
I'd like to be small. There are things, and my friends tease me, there are women who pay to get, but it's a load to carry. It's a load to carry around. But you hear that it's the thing, or in our community, having an ample, bottom. There are certain people, like I have a girlfriend, she built like a Coke bottle. I mean, she's small and then the big, and she gets tired. She's like, I wish my butt wasn't so big. I wish I was small. I mean, women, we do that. And I think that is in every race and culture. We judge ourselves and decide that we don't like this or this is not good enough, or you know what I mean? So I love that you found peace with, whatever it is, how you wanted your body to look. And certain times it's not going to change, and we just have to find and appreciate, what we have and what God. So in terms of getting peace about my breast size, it was like, I thank God that they're healthy. We're dealing with, breast cancer and other things. So I thank God that maybe they're not the size, but they're healthy. So I'm not going to criticize myself, and I'm just going to thank you that they're healthy today, and trust you and believe you that this is the size and the shape that I am, and this is enough. And in terms of social justice, the blog that I told you about, I wrote because I'm a political blogger. So you're right. We all have our unique gifts in different ways, whether if you're an artist and you do a painting, that can be something, that painting can be a statement that can show equity, because as much as I believe in our own empowerment as Black people and Black women, I believe in equity for everybody. We should all have equal rights. Nobody should be limited, and we should all be able to bring our gifts and attributes to the table and work to make this country better. And I believe that forward movement happens when we all come together and do that. But if you're not the person who's out marching, because I'm that chick, I'll be out marching, but all my friends aren't. You know what I mean? They write, or they're artists, or they are raising a daughter, like you said, to be proud of herself and love herself. That is affecting change. One little girl who says, I'm beautiful and I love my curls and my skin and my everything and my culture, is going to change and make change to other children that she meets and in the world. So we all have a part in the way that we can. Just do it in the way that you can. So I love what you're creating. Tell me when you're done. I'll tell people to sign up. I think that is so awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right. Do whatever, wherever you are, there is something that you can do to affect that change, right? And I always think about artists as well, not just within the art, but in the art world. How can you change how people perceive art that is from different ethnic groups? Right? How can you change the ways that art shows are done? Is it possible to integrate them just like you integrate society? Can we just say we're having an art show and these are the 3 people or 4 people who are showing, and it could be a Native person, a Black person, a white person, and a Hispanic person, and they all come with their different flavors, and oh my God, wouldn't that be an amazing show?
Oh my God, I love that. That's when it's beautiful, because I want to see what maybe Swedish or Italian people, and I want to see what El Salvadorian and Mexican and Puerto Rican and, Haitian and African American, and I want to see all of our culture and everybody's, because there's something to learn. I love Asian American culture, whether it be Filipino or Chinese or you know what I mean? Everybody has something to give and to show. And wouldn't it be great if we could just celebrate everybody's thing? You know what I mean? And learn from everybody's thing, and everybody's, equitable, and we come and we appreciate what everybody has to offer. That's the one I want. Yes.
That's the dream, right?
Yes, that's the dream. That's the dream. Somebody talked about that. Who was he? But yes, that's the dream. That's the dream.
Right. And in that dream, we don't diminish people for whatever reason. In that dream, everyone simply has the opportunity to be fully themselves. So no one has to feel that they have to change up who they are, whatever that may be, in order to fit into this society. Right. The way that we are right now, that's what it is. Right. People have to switch it up, or you have to play the game, or you have to, make the right contacts and make sure that you're impressing them enough in order for them to put you forward. Well, what if, what if it was just that people spent their privilege to help other people reach those same places, right? If you're in a room, you happen to be in a room and you don't see anybody else that looks like you in that room, and they're asking a question, you say, well, I know this person who could do that job. Say people's names in rooms, right? Help people find their way as well. It's just, so I think that if people and this especially for white people, but for all people, if you could find where your strengths lie, and you can intersect that with your passion and decide where you want to go with that in the work of social justice, it is possible. And it makes it more fun. It makes it more engaging for you. Therefore, you're going to be more passionate about it. You're going to be really invested in it versus feeling like, oh, it's drudgery, it's something additional, and I can't, I don't really, right?
Yeah, to me, the amount of hubris it takes to be in a room, say you're in a room and it's us, and even if it's a room full of Black women, and we're trying to plan policy or stuff for people who are hearing impaired, and we don't take the time to invite somebody hearing impaired or two people in the room to find out, what does your community need? What actually would benefit here? That to me is crazy. That they have done that for years. They'll make policy or laws or things that determine our lives without any of us in the room to say, hey,
let me tell you how that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly, on this, and tell you what I really need. I would never think that I would know what the Asian community needs, what the Latin X community needs, because I'm not a member of that community. So I would call on them, come in, tell me what you need, be a part of this discussion so we can get everybody's needs met. So yes, everybody should have a seat at the table. And those of us who are in positions that are making decisions about other people's lives and they don't have a seat, we should use our privilege, our position, because maybe whatever it is, to invite those other people to have a seat at the table too, to expand. You're only going to expand your audience when you do that. You're only going to expand yourself, your heart, your mind, your everything. So it's only good when that comes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have been talking for a while.
Okay.
Now.
I'm happy to have been a part of your show. It's been a pleasure.
So is there anything in particular, like anything that you have coming up, anything about your business or whatever that you would like to bring forth, or anything that we haven't talked about that you might want to share with the audience right now?
Sure. I've talked about my course, Live More, Carry Less, but I'd love it if people would hop on the website.
I'm going to definitely put it in the show notes, so you are covered.
Awesome. And be a part of the group and take the journey. If you want to find out more about me personally, I'm at erinwileysands.com, and that involves me as an actor and me as a political blogger. You can check out my blogs or find out the movies or anything like that I have coming up. So
nice. I love it. I love it that you. What's that?
I said that's how you find out about me. But go on.
I love it. Well, I love it that you just, you're just out here doing your thing, helping other people, living your life, living your best life, girl.
I'm trying.
I think it's amazing, and it's just wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. But before I let you go, because I can't let you go without asking my signature question, which everybody is waiting for, I'm sure. Everybody wants to know, what is your favorite dish?
My favorite dish, and I can't do because you get to a certain age and you just can't eat like this all the time. But if you were to lock me in a room and say you can only have one food for the rest of your life, if it was warm bread and butter, I'd be like, yes, like pretzel bread. It may not be sexy to some folks, but you give me any type of sourdough bread and just a big thing of butter and bread, and you heat that bad boy up. I'll be like, I'm good. You can leave now.
You're set to go. I love it.
I can't do that because I want to keep fitting into my clothes. That's my weak spot. Bread and butter, heated bread and butter. Like I said, it may not be sexy. People, oh, that's boring. That's fine. Right. Give it to me.
That's right. No, that's your favorite, and that is good for me. I love it. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Erin, for being here with me, and thank you so much for the insights that you've shared. I think just awesome.
Thank you for having me. I've had a bunch of fun talking with you and your audience. Thank you so much.
Hey, did you enjoy that episode? If so, please leave a review. It would mean the world, but only if it's a good one and you really did enjoy it. In which case, it would be awesome if you help support my work over at patreon.com/Sedruola Maruska. And finally, before you go, don't forget diversitydish.com. I'd love to work with you. See you soon.